Well, when we found out that local architect Rob Clark has an art exhibit at the Art Museum of Southeast Texas, we thought we would find geometric shapes and right angles in a bunch of buildings, and that is exactly the opposite of what we found. A very personal exhibit, beautiful pen and inks, as well as paintings that Rob has done of family, friends, and those he comes in contact with on travels. I found Rob Clark and brought him here, wanted to hear all about the stories behind these beautiful works of art that look like photographs. I mean, when you stand back, Rob, it really looks like a black and white photograph of Mary Jane Garth, but it is just an exquisite work of art, pen and ink. Tell us about this one as well as some of the others here.
Oh, good. It's one of my favorite in the piece because the entire experience of working with Mary Jane, it goes back to her being my mentor to teach me about art. I'm an art collector, so she explained to me about looking for the best piece by the artist and what expresses them. And in this piece, we captured her home, her favorite chair, with some of her favorite pieces, Jim Dine, which is behind her, where the heart in the painting aligns with her heart. She's wearing this kimono piece. I think it was torture.
She did that to torture you.
She tortured me. That was hours and hours of drawing to meticulously pick up each piece. And then reflected in the glass piece that she's holding is a de Kooning painting over the fireplace, which she loves, but it could not be incorporated into the piece. So it was a real lovely experience working with her on this.
It is just amazing. And for those of us in town who know Mary Jane, you've just captured her exquisitely. So I want to move on to the next one and tell us about this young lady that you painted.
This is Mercedes from Lamar University, she's originally from Galveston. My favorite thing about Mercedes, besides being my favorite friend, is the fact that she is a mentor to others. She's a mathematical prodigy, as I like to think of it, but she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. And it was such a joy to draw her. And if you come see the pieces, the ink process starts on one edge, and the scribbling, as people refer to it, gently flows across the piece, so you can never stop. This is one of the few pieces that was done in 4 to 5 nights of work continuous, because I had to keep that same pen mark to get the grays to black to the very light colors.
Now, the exhibit is called Finding Light. Explain that. What's the concept behind that?
I've always drawn, ever since I was 6 years old. The simplest was a self-portrait when I was 6, and then further on down the road, I would do watercolors. And one of my teachers that taught me art said, I'm seeing that you're looking for the light in all the works. Then you kind of manipulate what you see. And every piece here is about light. I think of the paper as being the light, and then you manipulate with color in some cases, and in some cases with the ink. You're introducing dark elements that make the light just pop out and create the form and shape.
Now, you've done a self-portrait, and I want to get to that and have Jeremy show that to us. Tell us about your self-portrait, because you look very strained in that self-portrait. So what's going on there?
First off, it was an obligation from the art collector, Mary Jane Garth. She said, only if you would do your self-portrait. So it's hard to do, to draw yourself. But in this case, I had an inspiration. Pat Carter had given me a piece of crumpled paper that had a poem by Yeats. And I unraveled that, and it says everything about this show and about the light and about our dreams. And everyone laughs because when I'm drawing, many times I'll stop drawing and I'll put a pen in my mouth and I'll close my eyes and work on those crowfoots above my nose. But what I'm doing is thinking about not what they look like, but the soul and the personality of the person. So if there was anything anybody might compliment me for on this show, is that they're seeing the spirit of the person coming out in each piece.
Tell us about the other, I mean, these are pen and ink, but you've also got some of your parents, for example. How did you do that? Is it from a photograph? And what's the medium that you used in that?
That's a special paper. It's a hot rolled paper, very slick, because I'm picking out every single detail, the nuance of the beauty of each person, my father and my mother, their hair, the jewelry my mother's wearing. And so the process is color pencil, gently
Mm-hmm.
put down. And as you lay it down, you layer the materials on top of each other, you begin to get different colorations. And what I like about that piece is that the intensity of the relationship between the two of them is there. And of course, the name of the piece is Equal, so that they put their foreheads together and they're equal partners at that point in time.
And everywhere you go, when you travel, you take your sketch pad, and you've actually sold some of your work, but only for charity. What's up with that, Rob? Why are you doing this for charity and sketching everywhere you go?
Well, I love to sketch. It's fun, first off, and it may be a napkin at a restaurant. There are restaurants that have my napkins in the back room somewhere, or banks on checks and things like that. But when you draw what you see and you experience, you leave having gathered something from that experience different. The intensity of drawing itself, the process, puts you close with the subject. Selling art is not important to me as much as making the art. And then the pieces I have sold, I've always like to see them go for charities if I can, locally more than anywhere else.
Well, we can relate to some of that, some of the art in your travels. You've got the French Quarter, New Orleans French Quarter, and you've even got the Mildred Building. We've all probably sat there at Catherine's and looked out, and you've captured that just perfectly in your sketches there. And then you've got some wonderful drawings from a rainforest. Tell me about the little girl in the tree.
Oh, that's a very important piece. It's both the grandfather, which is one piece, and the little girl in the tree. The little girl was an orphan as of 2 weeks, and she had not left the tree, and her grandfather, explaining to me in Spanish that she had not left the tree during that 2-week period, thought of the tree as her mother. And so in doing the watercolor, I enveloped the little girl in the tree and actually manipulated the shape of the tree to almost have the form of a leg or something wrapping around and protecting her. So the tree itself has become her surrogate mother for the time.
Well, it's just fabulous. And all of the works here at the Art Museum of Southeast Texas in the Cafe Arts area, where you can actually have lunch at Two Magnolias and study Rob Clark's art, are just fantastic. So it's a great thing that you can do this weekend and through the holidays. The exhibit is up through mid-January, so you've got plenty of time to make it to downtown Beaumont to the Art Museum of Southeast Texas and just enjoy Rob Clark's art. I am Shelly Vitinza with SoutheastTexas.com for Southeast Texas Live.